Welcome to this introduction on our new study of digital marketplaces. It's a study conducted by Ebeltoft Group, a global alliance of retail and brand experts. And three of my colleagues are here with me today, Andrea, Jim, and Jeffrey. Jim from the US, Andrea, Romania, Jeffrey from France. And I'm really looking forward to this discussion on our study, digital marketplaces. I think it's a significant study we conducted, and it's also highly important currently because many companies are selling on marketplaces, but also more and more retailers start becoming their marketplaces by themselves. So I'm really looking forward to this. And just let's start at the very beginning. What is your And then it's a question for each of you. What's your long-term 5 to 10-year outlook for digital marketplaces in the retail sector? Can I start with you, Jim?
Sure. Thanks for having me today. And from a U.S. perspective, the U.S. is a very mature market for marketplaces, but we're still seeing, a lot of new entrants. We expect growth to be high to very high relative to the rest of the retail sector, but we expect to see a lot of variability in performance among individual marketplaces as they carve out their place in their category.
Jeffrey, for you in France?
Yeah, thank you, Frank. Retailers marketplace, I think, will evolve to include more omnichannelity and physical interactions with stores. More omnichannel with, for example, integration into loyalty programs or the possibility of enhancing the services offered by retailers. And to conclude, I think that retailers could also use their stores to provide visibility and enable physical interaction with marketplace products.
Yeah, we will get back to those things a little bit later as well. Andrea, from your perspective, from Romania, what's the development of marketplaces there?
Thank you very much. It's been around. Marketplaces have been around for 25 years now, and what we envision in the next 5 to 10 years is even more expansion and growth, especially from a cross-border regional marketplace players' point of view. It's very good news, I think, for local retailers because in this way they could actually mitigate all the European Union regulation directives without the need for localizing their businesses, because this means also sales, logistics, people, networks that they need to build across borders. In the same time, marketplaces that go cross-border for them means for local retailers a huge opportunity to faster understand the local culture and the differences among different countries. Therefore, I think it's only good news ahead.
Okay, thank you. So Geoffrey, if we are looking at digital marketplaces, so there's a local view, there's a global view on it. So what's the most interesting one from your perspective for France?
I think Leroy Merlin is one of the most interesting marketplaces to follow in France because, in fact, they have integrated over 4 million products and they are carrying numerous omnichannel tests like promotion, click and collect services, etc. So I think it will be a great marketplace to follow up.
Jim, if we are looking at the US perspective, so the most important one I would say is Amazon, but what is your view on a local perspective or a global perspective on marketplaces?
Yeah, both the local and global perspective. I'm very fascinated by the convergence of social commerce and digital marketplaces. So obviously that focuses me on TikTok and what's happening there. You could argue whether they're a marketplace or not, but certainly they're both so popular and so controversial that I think it's going to be really interesting to see how successful they can be against some of the market leaders.
Especially if you're looking at on that perspective, for instance, with Shein or Shine, whatever you want to name it, but also with Temu, especially when you're now looking at Shein, they are already converting their strategy towards a marketplace strategy. Is that something you have been looking into or not?
Yeah, it's definitely something that we've seen from a competitive perspective, right? That the local marketplaces have to clearly differentiate versus the global competitors that they're competing against. So I think that's where this is such an interesting sector overall, because the competitive intensity has been rising so much.
Andrea, you just mentioned that marketplaces are around already for more than 25 years in Romania. Sometimes people don't even think of it that they are already there for that long time. What makes those special in Romania? Because I think it's also locally driven, isn't it?
Yes, it is. We have a very strong local player in Romania called the MAG. They've been around for that long, and they've been building this marketplace traditional, let's say by now, proposition. What we find very interesting right now and what we follow closely is the hybrids appearance as strong, let's say, disruptors to the traditional value proposition of these marketplaces, because on one hand, these hybrids appear to have this empathy with the sellers that maybe sometimes marketplaces, especially the big ones, the ones that have been around for so many years, tend to skip. And this is why we see that they come up with better value proposition for the shopper on one hand, and also have are in closer relationship with especially the smaller sellers. Let's see right now, this is what we are trying to follow, how the hybrid marketplaces will let's say try to surpass and navigate their internal logistics, people, and also category management limitations when they go from own e-commerce to the marketplace proposition.
If we are looking at the marketplaces, then there are many categories where they already started, but I'm really looking forward to get some insights from you. What categories you really expect for the next 5 years will be heavily impacted by marketplaces? Geoffrey, could I start with you? What are your thoughts on that?
I think in France, food is one of the sectors that should be impacted by marketplaces in the coming years, because we saw a lot of marketplaces on non-food products, but I think this is now time of food products marketplaces, as Greenwiz. Greenwiz is part of Carrefour, and it's for them an opportunity to give some visibility to farmers and assert a local positioning.
Can you tell us a little bit more than, otherwise we have to go to the website. So can you tell us a little bit more what they are doing exactly?
Yeah, Greenwiz is focused on organic products, and the target to have some local products in order to decrease the carbon print, in order to have less expensive and less carbon print on deliveries. So this is the occasion to have, yes, a more local positioning for them.
So it's also giving farmers then also the access directly to the consumers.
Exactly, this is the goal.
Yeah, good. Anything on your mind, Jim, regarding what markets will be impacted, or everything is already disrupted in the US?
Yeah, I agree, with Geoffrey that, the upside potential of the grocery sector in general, I think, has a great potential, but it's really going to take, I think, greater commitment on the part of a lot of the traditional grocers to really embrace, their digital and omni-channel investments, and to really convert to a successful marketplace model.
Andrea, I know you have been looking not only to your respective countries, so well, more countries included. Anything you could see from the European perspective that will be impacted in the next 5 years?
First of all, by next year, there will be 500 million e-commerce consumers across all European countries, and an average of 75% of Europeans are buying online. However, Eastern Europe versus Western Europe, it's very much different. So there's a lot of room to grow in Eastern European countries. What we are monitoring in terms of categories is, for instance, in the last year, there was high growth, especially in gardening, in food supplements, in makeup and hygiene categories. But as well, food will continue this pandemic boost it got in the recent years. Our largest marketplace, EMAG, launched 2 years ago a very successful online hypermarket with same-day delivery from the beginning, and it's very, very successful and still grows.
And it's also in a way that it's easy for manufacturers or companies that are owning brands to get started on marketplaces. So can they easily sell there?
Yes, because they take over all the logistics part and the last mile fulfillment, which is the key in food delivery.
Jim, I know you have been looking also at AI and generative AI, and there's no podcast of anything without AI today. So how will AI accelerate growth of marketplaces? Will it impact anyhow?
Certainly, we believe that digital marketplaces, should embrace AI, quite quickly, and I think we're already witnessing, that. I think in general, we've seen with the marketers who are very performance driven, certainly have been embracing generative AI in their marketing production, right? To create images or copy, that they just couldn't do at that kind of speed before. So, but I really look forward to seeing how AI is going to impact data modeling and more predictive models. So just becoming that much more targeted, in how we serve that customer and create, personalized experiences. But yeah, really exciting stuff to just kind of watch in the coming years.
Is there also in that area the power of the marketplaces? Because we are now looking at the sales opportunity, but now, especially when I'm looking at Europe, where we have the third-party cookie legislation is killing that. So marketplaces own first-party cookies. So is that also something that will accelerate also their business model, that they can sell advertisements, whereas the Googles of this world and Facebook to a lesser extent?
Yeah, that is where we see the convergence of retail media trends, and why in this study we felt it was quite important for us to hypothesize around data sharing, data and insight sharing between the marketplaces and the brand sellers, who are really participating in the marketplace. And we think that's going to be quite the change, in coming years. Again, very interesting to watch, because that's not easy for the retailers, to necessarily share a lot of information, with their brand partners.
Jeffrey, US perspective, where there's almost a free flow of data. I'm just joking, Jim, but when we're looking at Europe and looking at AI and generative AI, what are your thoughts there?
Yes, I think in France, we already have some AI integration in marketplaces. On an operational point of view, we already have some AI in product integration. In fact, it's always hard to have a lot of products, a lot of sellers, and AI enables products to be attached more quickly to the right category with enriched attributes. So I think it will be easier to integrate some products and some sellers on marketplaces.
It's easier to list products because AI can help you in getting them rightly tagged to the right category, and also have them listed.
Exactly, on the right category and with the right attributes to have a personalized experience on the website. And of course, we also see some personalized browsing will also make it possible to refine products and to display those products on the most attractive to customers. So it will be great also on an experience, e-commerce experience. Yeah.
So the e-commerce experience for the customer, for the end user, will become way better based on using AI.
Yeah, exactly.
Andrea, any thoughts from your side on this? I know you're a lot into technology, so probably you have some great thoughts for us there as well.
So in the last couple of years, we already saw investments made by marketplaces to enhance indeed faster, more accurate, and more relevant search for the shopper for their use. Not only personalized recommendations, but also right now the scoring model for fast loans, for buy now, pay later, which also was stronger in the last couple of years. And also for cost efficiencies. What we believe by talking to sellers that there is still a lot of room to improve, maybe from Gen AI, is to help those long tail of sellers that are still struggling with basic, let's say, order management, category management, inventory management, and pricing strategies, because otherwise it goes very empirical for them. So that would be a good place to start with.
Yeah, cool. Jim, getting back to you. Why did we at Ebeltoft Group conduct this study now?
You know, we really thought that this was great timing because globally, the digital marketplaces are such a interesting and vibrant sector, you know, across retail. And sometimes I think that, you know, digital marketplaces flies under the radar for a lot of companies. That so you see a wide range of how mature both retailers and consumer brand companies are. That some are very advanced, some are just beginning with their marketplace, you know, journey. So, you know, digital marketplaces are growing, you know, in all regions of the world, but just we see this just varying stages of maturity. And so when you add in this intensifying competition that we kind of touched on earlier, the both local and global competition that you have to really you know, compete against. You know, I think we expect to see a lot of winners and losers, you know, kind of emerge in the next, you know, few years. I think the U.S. market is probably a really good example of that. Even though it's still mature and it's still growing, I think even more so we're going to see the separation between the winners and losers, and that should be kind of very interesting to watch. So we thought it was a really good time to almost put a baseline in place that we can follow up on, you know, in the coming years.
Jeffrey, when listening to Jim, he's talking about the mature markets. What we see is that we have some in Europe, some of the US or from Germany that already started within sectors like Amazon or Zalando. But what we now see in Europe is also that more and more retailers step into the marketplaces. So they become themselves a marketplace. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, exactly. We call this hybrid marketplace because this is brick and mortar retailers who want to launch their own marketplaces. Because in fact, it's simple. A marketplace enables retailers to test new families and new categories in order to increase the average basket and build some customer loyalty. And all this without carrying any stock. And you know that this is an important criteria when we are like now in a non-predictable economic climate. But in fact, it's an expensive and a strategic project because you have to have some key success factors. And yes, I think we work on this in the study. And we combine 3 key success factors to optimize this success. And the first one is to have a selective, have a curative offering in order to propose some products that are consistent with the 1P offering. This is the first one. The second one is to having a seamless customer journey and marketing investment to match the revenue goal. So you have to think about it before the launch. And finally, I think organization is really hard to find with e-commerce, with marketing, with buyer team. So the third one is to strengthen an integrated digital organization with a fluid and efficient process between 3P and 1P offer management.
Yeah. So if you're looking at it, then you also can see that different retailers take different strategies on this. For instance, A.S. Watson in Europe started with categories that were closely aligned to their own offering, but not within their own offering. Whereas if we are looking, for instance, at MediaMarkt, they offer within their own categories, but then they give the long tail offering within their offerings. So it's an extension of what they already have, but then that you have more SKUs offered. So are those the two main different strategies for retailers?
Yeah, it depends of your goal, in fact, because depending of your sector and the power you want to offer into your assortment, you can you have to start with similar products, because your customer have the habit to buy some I don't know, some TV or some electronic on your website. So you can't sell garden products at the start of the marketplace. You have to start with electronic one, and after that you can announce and add some other categories, but not at the beginning because it's too risky and you can lose some customers.
Okay, thank you. Andrea, who is the leading marketplace in Romania, and what has made them so successful so far?
EMAG is the leading marketplace in Romania. They've been around for more than 20 years. They've grown up just like any traditional marketplaces. Let's say they started as a transactional platforms built around one or a few core transactions between shopper and sellers. Then from logistics and operations point of view, they've grown spectacularly, solving to a good extent even the last mile fulfillment, which kept them for years unprofitable. Right now we see some very good examples. We also described in the study in relation to pop-up stores, where they are curating special categories, so they do all these marketing investments for the sellers. In the last 3 years, they invested a lot also in regional expansion, so they are right now in 4 countries outside Romania. So still, it looks that Amazon probably kept away because overall the small business volumes in this region, and they prefer to focus on Germany and UK markets. However, if some business will eventually disrupt EMAG's first mover advantage and still lead position, we expect to come from hybrid as the real disruptor, because of this better understanding, let's say, of shopper preferences and behaviors, which might tilt at the end the buying preference from EMAG to a new marketplace that can cover better the shopper needs.
Jim, you did this together with Geoffrey and Andrea as coordinating group within Ebeltoft Group. Many countries contributed to this study. So why should leaders within retail read this study? So what is the main takeaway for you?
I think one of the executives, the experts we interviewed during this study, said it, quite simply, that every consumer brand company, whether they're a brand or a retailer, needs to have a marketplace strategy, and I think that's not necessarily true today for a lot of these companies who, as we mentioned earlier, some who are just starting within marketplaces. But I think just the sheer size and scale of these marketplaces means that I think all these companies need to take this channel seriously and really decide, you know, how are we going to best manage our brand assets, our intellectual property, as well as our, of course, sell-through, right? And I think that that's really where we expect to see bigger and better things in general across, you know, the marketplace sector, whether that's the hybrid, you know, marketplaces, you know, really investing, or whether that's consumer brand companies really trying to create, you know, these more immersive customer experiences within the platform of the marketplace. So yeah, lots of change. Yeah.
Yeah. So from the perspective of this group, but also the people you have interviewed, it's really every company. If you're a consumer-oriented company, either a retailer or a brand, you need to have a marketplace strategy in place.
Exactly.
Well, thanks to all of you and for joining me, and hopefully also the people that are listening to us, they really enjoyed it. And the only thing you have to do is download this study, and it's easy. You just can download it, and then it's all yours.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.